Hi friends, welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time to my channel. If you watched my previous video, which was a birthday book haul, you'll know that I mentioned very briefly why I ended up taking a bit of a break from YouTube over the summer, but I wanted to be able to share in a more detailed vlog of what I was really up to during that time of absence. To be honest, I've been feeling a lot of pressure to start sharing my autumn content because not only is it my favourite season, but I know that a lot of book content creators have already started uploading their autumn and fall videos. But since we're still in August and I have a lot of footage from the last couple of weeks, I thought that I'd take the time to put together this cozy vlog for you all. Ultimately, I guess I wanted to be able to say goodbye to summer. So yes, I hope you guys enjoy watching this video as much as I enjoyed putting it together. At the end of June, I had the opportunity to visit the Royal Drawing School to see a preview of their exhibition called The Power of Drawing. It was to celebrate their 25th anniversary, and I think I might have been the first person to turn up to the preview because I remember writing my name down in their guest diary and it was completely blank. But the collection highlighted the importance of drawing across various different creative disciplines, including fine art, architecture, illustration, and so many others. I appreciated seeing all these pieces by different respected artists and creative people, but my favourite one was by Charlie Mackesy, who wrote and illustrated The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, and this book is a book that both me and Ian adore. So the illustration that he had submitted for this particular exhibition really touched my heart, and ultimately I think summarised why drawing can be so powerful. As an illustrator, I was really moved by being able to see how central sketching and drawing was for so many different creative disciplines, and it really made me reflect on my own relationship with my sketchbook and with art as well. And because I travelled about 2 hours to get there, I thought that I might as well stay in London a little longer to visit the Miffy pop-up that I'd been eyeing for a while. When I first heard that Foyles were celebrating Miffy's 70th anniversary, I was so unbelievably excited, and it really didn't disappoint. They'd dedicated an entire section of the bookshop floor to Miffy merch, and I was really debating over whether to purchase the Miffy crochet keychains, who were inspired by famous Dutch paintings, and when I shared a photo of these two on my Instagram story, a lot of you actually ended up messaging me asking if I'd bought them, but I'm very sad to report that I didn't, and I am very sad about it. I didn't buy them because they were a little pricey, and I knew that I was going to come back to the pop-up again in the future, so I was like, I'm just going to wait until then. But clearly I underestimated how popular they were going to be, because when I returned to buy it, the girl with the pearl earring Miffy keyring wasn't there anymore, so that was really heartbreaking, but I'm sure she made someone else very happy. After browsing, I spent a bit of time on the first and second floor seeing what books the Foyles had, but at this point it was way into the afternoon and I hadn't eaten all day, so I was feeling really hungry. So I went all the way upstairs to their cafe, and I think this might be the first time I ever visited their cafe, but it was really spacious and they were playing jazz music, so it was such a vibe. I've talked a little bit on my channel occasionally about how I've been learning Japanese, and so I really wanted to spend some time in their Japanese language section. I'm taking it pretty slowly and just having fun learning the language, so honestly I'm probably worse than a baby but I'd love to be fluent one day. And out of the books that I'm showing right now, my friend Chizu gifted me 2 for my birthday, and I did share this in the book haul video, but it was the Shirayuki Hime and the Crayon Shin-chan, which I was so overjoyed to have received. Learning a new language has been such an incredible time. I love that languages unlock not just purely words, but also an entire cultural insight into somebody else's culture. And what's really fun is that a lot of my friends are actually studying Japanese at the same time as me, so it's been really fun being on this language journey together. The weather in England this summer was absolutely gorgeous. Everyone knows how temperamental the weather in England can be, but this spring and summer was truly blissful with bright blue skies and warm sunshine for the majority of the 2 seasons in London, and it really felt like we got to experience a true summer. And because of this, it made the season feel even longer, for me at least anyways, than usual. So one day Ian and I felt like taking a trip to Brighton Beach, which is one of the closest beaches that we have near us. With 2 of our friends, and we all did some work at a Waterstones cafe during the day before spending the rest of the evening exploring the city and enjoying the beach. I brought along my copy of Tress of the Emerald Sea as well as my sketchbook to draw by the beach. I actually made a post on Instagram about all the different places I took Tress of the Emerald Sea, and one of you guys commented that I actually took Tress to see the Emerald Sea, and it really warmed my heart. Yoshitomo Nara exhibition was one that I'd seen 1 or 2 of my friends go to, and also quite a few of the artists that I follow, so it had been on my radar and I was so happy that I got the chance to visit it with some friends. I think it was the best art exhibition that I'd been to in a while. At least it was very memorable for me. At the time that I'm recording this voiceover, the exhibition is still open and is going to be open until the 31st of August, I think, but it was so much bigger than I thought it would be. We spent a good few hours wandering around and I whipped out my sketchbook at times because I felt so inspired by his art. There were key themes of rebellion, isolation, hope in the face of destruction, and also the idea of home, and I loved getting up close with many of the iconic artworks. On my birthday, Ian surprised me with a trip to Cambridge, which is a city that we've both been wanting to visit. And I love the irony that my birthday is in the middle of summer and yet it's often raining, or at the very least cloudy. There are actually only a couple of birthdays that I remember when it was really sunny. But this was a birthday that neither of us will be forgetting anytime soon, and where the infamous story of our car breaking down in the middle of Cambridge city centre was birthed. Most of our family and friends have heard this story by now, and I shared a little bit on my Instagram stories, but to briefly tell the story here, our car ended up breaking down outside the biggest car park in Cambridge. Now, not only was this 3 p.m. on a Saturday in the middle of peak tourist season, so there were already lots of people, as you can imagine, but it also happened to be graduation day for Cambridge University students, so there were tons of people trying to get in and out of the main car park in the city. The actual location of where our car broke down was just a little further down from the car park exit, and it was a really narrow road, which meant that we were blocking the only way that people could leave because the opposite side of the road was busy with cars going in the opposite direction. I don't know if I'm making much sense here, but the point being that it was a really awful place to have broken down, and we were causing so much traffic. Ian and I were having to direct cars to try and either go around us or cross over us into the other lane, which of course people weren't happy with, and we had people honking at us and shouting. You won't believe the number of people who were actually shouting and demanding why we had parked there, as if we'd parked there purposefully. But eventually the RAC came around 6 p.m. to do a big checkup, and he gave us further bad news that this was a really bad case and we'd have to get it towed. So we waited until 10 p.m, at which point the tow truck came and took our car away. At this point we were both so exhausted, both mentally and physically, but we managed to take a night bus and buy a quick meal deal from Tesco since everything was closed, and carry our bags to the hotel. At the time, it was obviously not an ideal situation, but since that day we've had plenty of laughs about the whole fiasco. It's been over a month now, and I don't think we're going to get the car back because the people at the garage have informed us that there are lots of problems that just keep propping up. But I'm thankful that we're safe, and it's taught us to be grateful for all that we have. So after that eventful birthday, me and Ian were like, let's pretend that tomorrow's my birthday and we can scratch this day out. So thankfully the following day went much more smoothly. We did a lot of the things that we wanted to do, including visiting Ahya's bookshop, which blew my mind at the sheer scale of it. When I searched up bookshops in Cambridge, Ahya's popped up, so I walked in blindly not knowing much about it. But I was completely floored when I saw that it was layers upon layers of shelves and levels of books. I don't think I've ever seen a bookshop like it before. It almost felt like I was in an illusion of some sort. but I ended up leaving with a copy of The Library Cat, which I featured in my latest book haul, and a lot of you showed interest in picking it up, which is really exciting. I didn't love it as much as I was hoping to, but if you're looking for a really easy, cozy read to settle down with, then this is a really precious one. And then after visiting different spots, we spent the last part of the day strolling through the Botanic Garden, which was a really lovely and calm way to round off our 2-day trip in Cambridge. Most recently, I also visited Athens in Greece with my brother, sister and Ian. It was Ian's first time visiting Greece, and it was also my first time in Athens in particular because I'd visited Corfu around, I think about 2015 or 16, but it was also the first time that my siblings and I went on a holiday, just us without our parents, and since I married last year, I haven't been able to spend prolonged periods of time with them, so I was really excited to have a few days to just be with them. Our flight was delayed by a few hours, so the first day was spent really just unpacking our bags at the Airbnb before hopping on a bus to Kalimaki Beach, which is one of the closer ones to Athens. I actually can't remember the last time I swam in this sea. I think it must have been in 2018 or 19, and it was so incredible to be back in the sea swimming again. The water in Greece was so clear and the four of us had the best time at this particular beach. I'd love to be there right now, swimming and floating in the water. Day 2 was when we officially started to do the more touristy stuff like visiting the Acropolis Museum and key historical sites. It was really cool being able to walk through these different places that I'd read about growing up. At the time when I was booking my tickets for the Acropolis, I was debating on what time to book it for because I'd heard lots of different opinions, but I'm so glad that I did it for sunset because the view with the sun setting was so breathtaking. As we were climbing up, I kept on being stunned by how the view was getting increasingly more beautiful, and I'm sure that this place is a sight to behold at any time of the day, but truly I couldn't recommend visiting it more during the sunset hours, not only because the temperature was very bearable, but because of how scenic it was. Day 3 was dedicated to island hopping and visiting 3 different islands of the Saronic Gulf. We visited the islands of Agistri, Metopi and Egina, and I think the highlight for me was jumping off the boat into the sea at Metopi, as well as tasting the most delicious pistachio ice cream at Egina. And before we knew it, it was time for us to go home. I'm so grateful that I had the joy this summer of taking lots of mini trips across England and Europe. Over the past couple of months, I've been really struggling, feeling burnt out and just lost in general. So these mini breaks in between July and August were so delightful and a welcome rest. And I'm so excited to make lots of videos for you all again. So thank you so much for being here. Whenever I see your comments, I love being able to recognize many of you, and I'm always amazed that my videos have found a home with you guys. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next cozy one very soon. Bye friends!